I'm here at the classic iconic view above the northern Jordan Valley.
Hello and welcome to my channel. I call this channel the Kibbutz from the inside. It's my own personal journey of a lifetime. Some people have called the Kibbutz a paradise. Others have called it the experiment that didn't fail. Outsiders have seen it as utopia. It's a completely unique communal way of life, and I am living this dream in a kibbutz in Israel. By the way, for the uninformed, we say kibbutz for one, and two or more are kibbutzim. But I ask myself a question. If it is a dream, if it is a paradise, or if it's God's little acre on earth, why do so few people live in kibbutz? If it's such a big deal, why do only 1.4% of the population in Israel live here? Facts bear this out. Only about 130,000 Israelis live in kibbutz. Over the 113 years since the first kibbutz was founded, hundreds of thousands have passed through its gateways. I would even guess that more than 1 million people have lived in kibbutz at one time or another. I have my own opinion about this, but this channel is not about me. It's about you. It's about the people who live in kibbutz. It's about the many more who left kibbutz and why. It's about the hundreds of thousands of volunteers who experience life in a kibbutz. I pose serious questions. I go beyond first impressions. Why did most pioneers 70 or 80 years ago not stick to their guns? Why did they not fulfill their ideology by staying on? Why did a whole generation of born and bred kibbutz kids walk out en masse in the 1980s and the 1990s? My name is Ivri Tasker. I'm a 76-year-old kibbutznik living for the last 53 years in kibbutz. I've worked with many kibbutzim around the country. I represented the kibbutz movement for 2 years overseas. So first, I want to explain to you my choice for the title of this channel. I thought very hard about what to call it. I changed my mind many times. Yes, I'm now living the dream. Yes, it's my own journey of a lifetime. Yes, it is the experiment that didn't fail, and outsiders may see it as utopia. But in between those lofty ideals, there was a harsh reality. There were many very hard times. During the 113 years of the existence of the kibbutz movement, there were major crises. I hope to highlight these major crises in future vlogs. Through my interviews with present-day members, past members and former members, I will try to dig down below the surface to get the answers. I want to find out why so many people, despite their dreams and aspirations, left their kibbutz. But mainly, I want to look at those people who stayed on and now live in kibbutz. So, who is this channel intended for? There are hundreds of thousands of people who have lived in or have visited kibbutz at one time or another. Tourists, foreign volunteers have worked on a kibbutz. Did you know that Bob Dylan and Boris Johnson were once kibbutz volunteers in the 1960s? Other people abroad may have seen documentaries or Hollywood movies about kibbutz. Remember the movie Exodus with Paul Newman? Some people may have friends or relatives living on a kibbutz. Some viewers may be students, sociologists or psychologists who want to know more about kibbutz. There may be people who see this experiment as the fulfillment of the socialist ideology. So how do communists in China view kibbutz? Do they even know about kibbutz? There may just be people who are interested in this absolutely unique lifestyle. So let's look at what kibbutz is all about. There are 273 communal villages legally defined as Kibbutzim in Israel. About 130,000 people live in those Kibbutzim. That's an average in each kibbutz of about 400 adults and children sharing this lifestyle. Individual kibbutz populations range in size from 100 to 1,000 adults and kids. Originally, 80 and 100 years ago, they were just farming communes. Nowadays, less than 5% of the adult members are farmers. Most can no longer be called communes. So, can we still call ourselves kibbutzim? There are many members who ask that question. Due to the overwhelming financial crisis in the 1980s and the 1990s, Kibbutzim were forced to re-examine themselves. This introspection forced them to question their own modus vivendi. They had to look at their lifestyle. They had to inspect their economies and ask themselves, where did we go wrong? During that time, many kibbutzim were living an upside-down socio-economic lifestyle. Now, what do I mean by this? Very simple. In normal society, your income dictates your lifestyle. In the 1980s and 1990s, most kibbutz lifestyles dictated their economy. They lived high on the hog without an income that justified that existence. As a result of this, most kibbutzim were gravely in debt to the banks. Many were on the verge of bankruptcy. Accordingly, about 200 of the 273 kibbutzim were forced to change their mindset, but this didn't come about overnight. They had to re-evaluate their sources of income and how that money was spent. This change led to mind-boggling economic and social changes. Later in the channel, I'll go deeper into this period of socio-economic crisis. But that crisis led to a change, a huge change. Sometimes this change is called privatization. The kibbutz system, as defined by law in Israel, is an agoda shitufit. In English, a cooperative association, not a private association, not a private corporation. The nearest I can get to describing this change process is capitalized socialism or reformation. The translation of perestroika is reformation, whereby the former Soviet Union restructured and reformed their economic and political system. A unique society requires unique terminology. We could call it capitalized socialism, or better still, the new kibbutz. The major change is that new kibbutzim no longer subsidize individual lifestyles. Each member in the new style kibbutz no longer receives an equal cash allowance. His place of work or profession determines his salary. There are now differential salaries. So maybe we could call it salarization, but that sounds like a stomach complaint. So let's just call it the new kibbutz. Nowadays there are about 200 new kibbutzim. The other 73 remain with their traditional economies and social structure. They are the traditional kibbutz. Let's quickly go back to basics. How did all of this come about more than 110 years ago? The kibbutz idea was started by young Jewish pioneers in 1909-1910. The first kibbutz was the Genya Aleph on the shores of the Sea of Galilee. They had no money. They knew nothing about farming. They didn't have a blueprint for the development of a kibbutz. They had nothing like a communist manifesto or a little red book like Thoughts of Chairman Mao. In a way, it was an experiment, but unlike an experiment, it had no written plan or formula. It was basically trial and error, hit and miss. They had no founding father as a role model who said, this is what we are going to do and this is how we are going to do it. one of the main misconceptions about how it all started was that kibbutz was aimed from its inception as a utopian society. Completely wrong, a misconception. If utopia had been the aim, then the process to achieve it would have been mapped out. It never was. There was no roadmap. The establishment and development of Kibbutzim was a purely pragmatic solution to physical challenges. This pragmatism was based on a passionate Zionist ideology. They wanted to return to the ancient land of Israel. They wanted a Jewish homeland with its feet firmly rooted in the soil. But they didn't know how to do it. All they knew was that by living together in a group, they stood the best chance. Those pioneers faced massive problems. There were practical and social problems. The minority of those who stayed overcame them. Others, more than them, fell by the wayside. Did they ever verbalize the notion of utopia? Maybe yes, maybe no. They were young, idealistic pioneers. They would sit around the campfire at night. They would discuss their previous ghetto or shtetl life in the diaspora. They would plan how they would recreate Jewish society. They were fiercely transparent about themselves as individuals within the commune. They sacrificed individualism for the sake of the commune. The group, the kibbutz, was more important than the self. After long ideological discussions, or maybe dancing the horror at night, they'd have a few hours sleep and then they'd get up for work the following day. Those pioneers didn't have the tools to do the job. They had an ideology. They were motivated. They were driven. They had passion. They had a very strong work ethic. They were fanatical in their zeal to conquer the barren, infertile land. They realized from the outset that to succeed, they had to work together as a group. They had to pool their efforts. They had to act as a team to overcome the swamps, the mosquitoes, or conquer the desert. They were all team players, not individuals. They related to themselves as a group, in Hebrew, kibbutzah. A few years later, the word kibbutz from the same root in Hebrew became more widely used. So let's get rid of the idea of utopia today. It never was. They had aimed too high. Pioneering beginnings were hard and tough. But what it has grown into today may wrongly be seen from the outside as an attempt at utopia. But from the inside, we see this wonderful lifestyle as the best form of human communal living. It is a democratic and fair society, a community based on compassion, a community where everyone has an equal chance to succeed in their efforts. It is an egalitarian society, a band of brothers, or let's say a band of siblings. We don't consider ourselves as anything special. We are not an elite. Yes, we have a special lifestyle and economy, but we are not isolated from the rest of Israel. We are not self-sufficient. We don't grow and eat our own food. Our economies are linked to Israel's economy. And we don't live like the ancient Essene monks did near the Dead Sea 2,000 years ago. We are not hermits. We do not live in a vacuum. Very much the opposite. Kibbutz is a place where there is safety. There is no crime in kibbutz. Nobody ever goes hungry. Nobody suffers from social isolation. Every member has a roof over his head, even though he or she does not own the house he or she lives in. the group as a cooperative owns the individual houses. However, a minority of new Kibbutzim are trying to change this and go one step further. They want to form some type of privatization with home ownership. It's an ongoing process and it's a complex process. Whether it is a new style kibbutz or a traditional kibbutz, each member has the guarantee of living in that house for as long as he or she lives. There is no covert or overt threat of eviction. There is no disenfranchisement due to old age, bad health, bad luck, or financial disaster. Each member has the right to live in his or her house without paying rent or a mortgage to the kibbutz. So again, maybe you think it sounds like utopia. How can that be? No individual ownership of the house by property registration, no rent, no mortgage. So how does each member pay for the roof over his head? Not only that, how does he pay for the social and community services? Very simple.
Through my legs or through my arms? Through my body. I can't go through my body.
Traditional kibbutzim like Ramat Yochanan near Haifa or Ma'agan Michael on the coast pool their incomes. The communal bank account pays for housing, food, electricity, education, health and welfare and a lot more. Then each member receives an equal monthly cash allowance. In the new kibbutz it's different. Many subsidies have been eliminated. New members must pay to join the community. Yes, they pay a one-time fee to join the community. Once upon a time, anyone could apply to become a member. Then they were vetted. Maybe they became a member after a year or so as a candidate member. That's the way it still is in traditional kibbutzim. But nowadays, it's very different in the new style kibbutz. It's all changed. Oh yes, forget what was once. In Kibbutz Givat Chaim Meuchad, new members pay 500,000 shekels to join. That's about 160,000 USD or 120,000 British pounds. Even after that, they don't own their own house. That doesn't mean that if you have cash, you can just pay and join. No way. This isn't a country club. It's a way of life. It's a community. There is standing room only in the queue to join most kibbutzim, and priority is given to returning sons and daughters of the kibbutz. Even those sons and daughters must get a majority vote by the kibbutz assembly to be accepted as members. In addition to the down payment or entry fee in new kibbutzim, there are other ways that one must pay for living in this society. There are no free meals, even though members in a traditional kibbutz may say they can eat for free in the communal dining room. The other ways of payment involve conforming to regulations made within the kibbutz. That is achieved by peer group pressure and some other ways of enforcement. Having paid your entry fee in a new kibbutz, that doesn't mean you can do whatever you want. Community decisions require social conformity. They mean paying your internal community taxation on time for public services and the infrastructure. They may mean being considerate neighbours by parking your car in public car parks and not next to your house. They may mean not letting your dog wander around unleashed. But one thing is clear in the new style kibbutz. each member from the outset must be economically viable. It is not a place for freeloaders, as happened in many kibbutzim before the changes were made over the last 25 years. This society is a democracy. It is a direct and immediate democracy. It is the most direct democracy in the world. And here I want to thank Daniel Ben Sefer, an ex-member of the kibbutz in the Ganya Bet, for pointing this out. He told me this is what is special about kibbutz. I will explain the nuts and bolts of how this works in a later vlog. Nowadays, the pioneering ideology of yesteryear has morphed itself into a streamlined, modern-day direct democracy. And finally, I want to say this. There are many YouTube videos about kibbutz. I think almost every kibbutz has one. They name themselves, they describe their community. They are one-off information videos. I highly recommend them. They are well-presented overviews of their kibbutzim. They show their industries, their agriculture, and social environment. The other type of kibbutz video is a travelogue. They are uploaded by tourists and tour guides, also as one-time shots. They show our lifestyle to those who may not know what a kibbutz is. They too are valuable. The difference between those videos and myself is that, as far as I know, this is the only ongoing kibbutz YouTube channel in English. It is unique. This is not about one kibbutz. It is about all kibbutzim. It is a vlog, not a one-time shot. It is not a promo video showing the best qualities and achievements of one kibbutz. It is about life on the inside, the real life of what goes on behind the scenes across the board in many kibbutzim. I have already talked with members and ex-members of kibbutzim like Kfar Masarik, Ein Choresh, Dafna, Deganya Bet, Givat Chaim Mouchad, Stei Nehemiah, and many other kibbutzim. I am available to reach out and visit any kibbutz. I intend to visit every kibbutz in Israel. Yes, all 273 of them. Yes, no small measure. Yes, I am a man on a mission. And I hope I live that long. We'll see. My dialogue is with many different people whom I talk to. Those people include friends, immigrants, and native-born Israelis of all ages. I want to talk to kibbutz members all over Israel. If you are a member of a kibbutz who speaks English, let me know. I would like to meet you and put your face and thoughts on this vlog. I want to hear from ex-volunteers. I want to hear about your experiences and your nostalgia. My dialogue will be an open one between myself and my subscribers. I hope to talk to my family. I have two of my own kibbutz-born children. They left the kibbutz. I have 3 stepsons and 8 step-grandkids, all of whom still live in a kibbutz. However, in this first vlog, I've only scratched the surface. Next week will be part 2 of this introduction. In future vlogs, I intend to go deeply into issues of everyday life in kibbutzim. It'll be boots on the ground. I'll go behind the scenes to tell you what kibbutz is really like from the inside. There'll be no sugarcoating. Lastly, everyone has an opinion, so let me know. There may be thumbs up or thumbs down. I'm not a guru with all of the answers. I want to hear from you. Your opinion matters. I'll give you a voice here. We may agree, we may disagree. I hope to upload regular videos, if possible once a week. I have many kibbutz topics listed for future videos and already have a large stock of footage. but I consider myself technically challenged. I'm sure this is related to my age. So there's a lot of digital stuff about video production and filmmaking that I've got to learn on the way. I'm an old dog who is challenged by new tricks. Can anyone help me out there? Anyway, thank you for watching. If you like what I've told you, please sign up and subscribe. Tap the bell icon and tap your thumbs up button. But before I go, if you are a proud Israeli, whether you are a kibbutznik or not, if you are proud of Israel's achievements, if you are proud of kibbutz as an absolutely unique manifestation of ingenuity, rebirth and survival, then please subscribe here. If you are a Jew who's proud of how we've made the desert bloom, then please subscribe, because you ain't seen nothing yet until you see kibbutz from the inside. Or if you just want to know more about kibbutz and you are not Jewish, then please subscribe and tell your friends. I am finishing here, and I'm telling you, this is a complete, unique vlog in a niche video sector about Kibbutzim. But here we are really telling you about kibbutz from the inside, and it won't be me who will be talking. It will be all of you and the people I interview around.
By the way, I want to apologize for any bumps and glitches in the making of this video. This is the first time I've done something like this. I haven't even taken a selfie till now. Hopefully, as time goes on, I will improve. And of course, I want to thank all my friends and kibbutz members, the kibbutzniks around Israel, whom I have interviewed so far. You've seen them very briefly here in clips. Their individual names and the names of the kibbutzim will appear in later vlogs. So, that's it for now. Keep well, look after yourselves. Shalom and להתראות. להתראות means see you later. Bye for now. That's it.